grew up on a ranch in Colorado and ended up in California, and a whole different world opened up with just changing my geographical location. But still, it had that same cookie cutter, you know, the muffin's the same. There's no different toppings, nothing, you know. That's, I surrounded my people with, myself with my family, and that's all that that's their lives, and that's all that they knew. And so when even the first time well, for sure met you, I was so struck by an idea that was put forth, a concept, a way of looking at um, possibilities of how a person spends their life. You know, you buy a house, you redecorate again, you enlarge, you want more and more, you work more in order to support redecorating, and that was me. You know, I'd never heard anybody saying that. Hey, do you see what you're doing here with your life? And this is kind of like being on a hamster wheel and not even knowing it. So I would say before, very much very limited in knowing the world at large and knowing different experiences that are possible for a person, and the excitement of exploration. Before, I would never travel, and it just, my life was just so insulated, so isolated. You know, just my immediate family, and that was it. Um, so huge worlds opened up in knowing Justin, and really, it's like he helped to build all the areas of my living that had never got to live, never got to experience something. And there's so many of those because from my background, you know, grew up on a cattle ranch, and so traveling was huge. Um, Realizing I didn't have to work the way that I was working. You know, there are different ways of figuring out how to live simply and not have to support, you know, a big expense. And explorations with books and music, and like you can travel a lot of different places metaphorically with just discussions with words. And so I'd say huge amount of learning that the world has so much to offer, and but how to extract that and how to have a more human experience and not be subject to the things that got us by when we were younger, you know, negativity and blame and pettiness and the repetition that people go through, and that whole cycle, and learning compassion, what really true compassion is, caring for other people, caring for myself. You know, I'm a mother of 5 kids, 5 girls, so that was a lot of putting out energy of taking care of, always taking care of, and but where was I in that formula? And so now my girls are no longer home; they're older, but I have served as an example to them in my exploration. So it's such a joy to see that has trickled down to other people's lives. I didn't expect that possibility. You know, I thought, well, gosh, I now see some ways to live differently, and have actually implemented those ways, and now it's my experience, um, and that serves for an example for a whole nother generation. So hopefully that breaks that cycle of limitation, and but more possibility of what's possible for a human existence, even before pursuing anything spiritual. You know, I've learned that is a spiritual world, and becoming more human and realizing we're just so limited in our usage of our human species, and who we were developed and put on this earth to be. And um, so I think that kind of flash forward to 15 years of like just kind of grasping, kind of like if you have a boat and you're learning how to sail a boat, it takes some putting effort into that, and you got to learn. If you're going to be out on the ocean, you got to learn how to navigate this vessel to have a nice voyage and have it be, a journey that is whatever play however I want to go where I want to go. And so flash forward 15 years of learning how to sail this vessel, and so I feel like I'm on the side of implementing all that I've learned here, and trying to anyways, which is not an easy process because it takes motivation and it takes a consistency, and not just knowing something up here is different than having it manifest and my awareness of my navigation of this sailboat. And so that's a lifelong journey right there. And ultimately having that journey go more inward to meditation, and see what direction that brings up in the way that I've been taught meditation, and that Justin passes on, and all the steps it takes to in the preparation process for that, and having excitement for that. And that's a whole nother unknown journey, because that just keeps unfolding continually as I refine myself and seek for finer impressions. And
what's one thing that you can think of that you know that you've really changed, an aspect of you that's really changed, and you couldn't imagine having gone the rest of your life without knowing that thing?
well, for me, it's being able to use my voice and being able to speak. I spent all my early years in avoidance of having to talk to people, because I grew up way in a very isolated ranch and never had to talk to people. And so all of my choices, looking back now, were in order to not have to talk. And that seems very basic, but that's where I've come from. So that whole life skill and ability that I now have is just comes up constant, always. That's it. They may teach speech class in school, but that's not, I never took speech in school. I had to take it in college in order to get my degree, so I was forced to. But that's not the speech I'm talking about, being able to know emotions and being able to express those, and formulate sentences and not be afraid to speak to someone. And that opens a world of communication and intimacy, and letting other people in my life to whatever degree that I can. Before it was nothing. Now it's like this vessel is opened up that that's a lifelong gift, that if I were to only take away one thing, that is just really priceless. And